Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
It's safe to say that this film is cursed, given the catastrophe of Snow White's premiere and the ensuing fallout with Disney, and Rachel Zegler's resentful responses. However, what specifically went wrong, and why are so many people raising their voices?
The star, Rachel Zegler, is unbelievably charmless in public.
She was, as woke as they are.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
I don't think they're gonna buy it. I don't think they're gonna watch it. I don't think they're gonna like it.
Let's get started. If you're new here, remember to hit the like button to keep up with the drama and subscribe to Celeb Culture for all the Elle Hollywood breakdowns. The journey of Snow White 2025 is a prime illustration of how a once-loved tale can degenerate into a catastrophic catastrophe. This remake has been a complete failure for all parties involved since its premiere, particularly for Disney's Bob Iger and lead actress Rachel Zegler. The film's performance at the box office was appalling. It received harsh reviews and faced an immediate and harsh backlash from the public. The way this entire mess is impacting the careers of those involved, however, may be the most worrisome part of it all. Zegler, who was meant to be the project's shining star, is now in the middle of a media storm, and her reputation has taken a hit, from which she might never fully recover.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Rachel Zegler, she's an asshole.
You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up.
Spend 1 minute on Snow White and how it totally imploded at the box office this weekend.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion, but the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings.
Let's begin by discussing the film itself. In all honesty, Snow White 2025 is possibly the worst Snow White film ever produced. Considering how many versions of the classic tale have been produced over the years, that's saying a lot. But this one stands out for being a complete and utter disaster. Character development is nearly non-existent, the pacing is awkward, and the plot is incoherent. The filmmakers seem to have tried to advance so many contemporary agendas that they overlooked the most crucial element, creating an engaging and entertaining movie. It was immediately apparent that this film would not be the Snow White that we all know and love. Snow White 2025 became less about addressing the core of the original story, a timeless tale of love, jealousy, and redemption, and more about crossing things off a list of social and political agendas. Disney has a history of promoting ideological narratives in its movies under Bob Iger's direction, and this one was no different. However, it didn't end there. In addition to the film's dubious plot, the casting decisions and general production felt more like they were made to please specific audiences than to tell a compelling story. The main character, Rachel Zegler, was meant to be the film's biggest attraction, but rather than launching her career, this film has done the exact opposite. Since the release, there has been a strong backlash against her performance and behavior. Rather than being praised as the new Snow White face, Zegler has been caught up in a public relations nightmare that has only gotten worse over time.
And, you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea.
Her social media accounts. Defensive comments and rants regarding the movie have only served to polarize viewers and feed the criticism. It's difficult to envision a situation in which Snow White 2025 could undo the harm that has been done at this point. Zegler has been fired from several other Hollywood projects, so her problems don't end with the movie's failure. She was first taken out of Toy Story 5, where she was meant to provide the voice of a character called Spiral. The Pirates of the Caribbean remake, which is currently looking more and more uncertain, then dropped her. Furthermore, it's evident that Zegler's career has been destroyed by the public backlash against Snow White, even though some may contend that these choices were made apart from the film's reception. It's difficult to overlook Zegler's resentment. Following the film's terrible reception, she took to social media to defend Snow White in the most bizarre and defensive manner imaginable. She started attacking those who had expressed dissatisfaction with the movie, implying that they were unaware of her interpretation of Snow White. She redoubled her defense of the film, suggesting that those who didn't enjoy it just didn't understand it, rather than responding to the audience's valid concerns. She even went so far as to claim that the critics didn't appreciate the amount of effort that went into making the film, which included spending 16 to 18 hours a day sitting in a dress. Let's take a moment to think about this. Although it's true that acting is hard and that spending hours on end in costume is difficult, Zegler's complaints regarding the role's physical requirements feel a little out of touch. Working long hours and frequently in uncomfortable situations is a requirement of being a Hollywood actor, and many actors and actresses have suffered from similar levels of physical strain. Although Zegler's grievances are legitimate on a human level, they seem tone-deaf in light of the greater problems surrounding the film's failure. This is a normal aspect of the job. But Zegler didn't stop there. She also expressed her annoyance at the unfair compensation that Hollywood gives actresses. Her argument that actors should receive payment each time a viewer clicks on a Disney Plus movie is wholly unrelated to the way the business operates. Although streaming services are undoubtedly altering the way actors are paid, this approach seemed impractical and out of step with industry norms.
Accusing Disney of inserting unnecessary feminism into classic fairy tales.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
In actuality, actors receive payment up front for their labor, and residuals aren't determined by opinions, as Zegler implies. The idea that she doesn't comprehend how the company runs was strengthened by her remarks. Zegler's public outbursts increased along with her bitterness. She even started criticizing other Snow White portrayals, asserting that hers was the best ever. This was a clear jab at Kristen Stewart's performance in the 1937 animated classic, and even the Lily Collins starring movie Mirror, Mirror in 2012. Zegler's contempt for these earlier iterations of Snow White only served to stoke her detractors' ire. Defending your performance is one thing, but publicly disparaging the numerous other actresses who have performed this iconic role is quite another. Things were just as chaotic behind the scenes, and Disney's response to the whole Snow White scandal has been nothing short of catastrophic.
Big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
It's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
Snow White is running for president.
I'm launching my campaign.
They have been making this film for a very long time because it's just been so scandalized. And so they had to basically put it on ice after people were firstly outraged by Rachel Zegler speaking ill about the prior film, the film that she was remaking. And it's such a weird thing for their whole pitch as feminists to be is like the best thing you can strive to be is a man. Everything will be great once we just act exactly like men. There's nothing special about being a woman. Let's just be men. It just doesn't feel like we're winning.
So no prince or a different kind of prince?
I'm sure a lot of people will assume it's a love story just because we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude.
Formerly regarded as one of Hollywood's most powerful men, CEO Bob Iger has been frantically trying to handle the fallout from the movie's failure. His attempts to limit the damage have been pitiful at best. He recently declared in public that Snow White 2025 would go down as one of the greatest films ever produced. A declaration that seemed less grounded in reality and more like a desperate attempt to control the damage. Disney's marketing department appears to have fallen far short of expectations, as evidenced by the awkward and ineffectual TV commercials and trailers for the movie. A peculiar and awkward moment that encapsulates the entire marketing campaign, trying too hard and totally missing the point, is when Dopey says in one particular advertisement that people are hurrying to the movie theaters while the dwarves are moving extremely slowly. Now that Snow White 2025 has failed to make an impression on both critics and viewers, everyone is wondering where the movie will go next. Does this remake have any chance of succeeding, or is it destined to go down in Hollywood history as one of the greatest failures in contemporary cinema?
Disney's Snow White was essentially a box office dud. The regime that decided that wokeness needed to be infused in every movie. If they keep going along this path, they're going to go bankrupt.
How is Rachel Zegler doing? Will she be able to move past the harm this movie has caused to her career, or will she end up being just another actress who became overly involved in Hollywood politics and ruined too many relationships in the process? It's difficult to say, but it's obvious that Snow White 2025 is a movie that will never be forgotten in Hollywood. The consequences of this catastrophe will probably last for years to come, and it serves as a warning to anyone working in the business about how a movie can go horribly wrong when all that is focused on is producing a good film. What do you think, then? Could Snow White 2025 still make a resurgence, or is it irreparably damaged? With the correct rebranding or change in focus, could the movie possibly make a comeback, or is it already too late to salvage? After all the drama, is Rachel Zegler able to turn her career around, or is she too entangled in the controversy to do so? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and let's talk about this Snow White catastrophe in general and its implications for Hollywood going forward. Can this wreckage be transformed into something significant, or will it serve as a warning? I'll see you in the upcoming video.